Welcome, Ram fans, to Final Score, Crackers College Hoops. I'm Steve Ivy. I'm joined by my good friends Paul and Jack. We'll be talking about the game in a little bit, but I want to thank everybody. Hopefully people will show up. Thanks, everybody, for being patient. I hustled us home as fast as I could. The basketball gods were not kind to us, allowing a 3-point at the buzzer to tie in overtime, to send the game to overtime. And lo and behold, CSU hung on 87-79 in what could be categorized as a thrilling game, but certainly not the cleanest game. Paul and Jack, why don't you go ahead and start with your thoughts?
I'm pretty excited about this team going forward. I feel like we need a couple games to still gel together. But some exciting things from the boys tonight. Clifford with a double-double, 31 and 13. That's going to be fun to watch the rest of the year. Some concerning things, but it was a good game.
So my good buddy Jake Shildren. Can I call this one messy? You can call it Ronaldo. You can call it Messi. You can call it whatever you want. Yeah, it was messy.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I mean, clearly the offense is going through Clifford this year. There's no doubt about that. Crocker Johnson, I think, through 2 games has looked really good. He's got to stay out of foul trouble. He got into that pretty early, and then when Clifford went out, I mean, the depth wasn't there tonight by any stretch as far as scoring. So definitely a gritty win from the team, and there's definitely some pieces there, which will be exciting to watch to see how this team gels as the season goes on.
Yeah, just my overall thoughts were, they went in spurts, jumped out early, but it was all kind of it's the stuff that doesn't really work for them in the long run when they're making threes and only making threes. And they were having a heck of a time getting to the basket early. I thought Tennessee State played really well defensively, both in man-to-man, but boy, they threw a zone at CSU, and CSU really struggled with that 2-2-3 zone. There was it was kind of a 1-1-3 actually, and they did a great job. CSU was completely bottled up. The only 2 guys that seemed willing and able to make any shots against the zone were Clifford and Lake, and obviously Neek had a career high 31 points and 13 rebounds. I didn't check the numbers. I'm sure 22 points is a career high for Jalen as well. So, what did you think of the Rams on the boards today, boys?
So we went to the preseason game as well there, the exhibition game. Through 3 games, we've struggled, I think, rebounding, especially giving up offensive rebounds. Again, I think they had, 16 offensive boards, something like that. So I think it's an area we need to clean up. Going to your point on the zones, it's an area we struggled last year as well. Like, it was ride and die in the 3-pointers, and I don't think we shot that very well. I thought this was the best game Lake shot offensively pre-injury from last year when he, I think, broke his wrist. So that was promising to see. Hope that can continue. But the glass we got to clean up. I think, especially defensively, it was pretty sloppy, and I think there's some work to do there. But promise moving forward with the team. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, the rebounding thing. I said something. I think I put something on Twitter. It was Tennessee State was Eustaching the Rams tonight. If you're familiar with the way Larry Eustache, some of his poorer teams played, they didn't make a lot of shots, but they weren't afraid to get shots up on the glass and then just pound the glass. And Tennessee State did a great job getting to the boards. It seemed like Clifford was the only one who could get a rebound in the first half, and then when Crocker Johnson was in there, he did a really, really good job in the second half, and then fouls obviously did him in. I got a comment from my friend Corey. Corey, I'm going to have you on one of these times, by the way. I know you're a loyal fan of the post-game show. Sloppy across the board. The thing that was troublesome to me was, getting away, coming out really sharp and smart to start the second half. You got out early in the first half, gave a lead up, went in down 2 at half, come out and absolutely smoking to start the second half and have put 11-point lead. I think they went on a 13-2 run, and then they gave it all back right away. And it was just like Corey said, it was a sloppy game. So, did you see anything, the difference from the starters to the bench? Did you notice much, guys?
Yeah, I mean, the box score is going to show it. I think Jorgensen had a pretty good game overall. He got into some foul trouble. In my opinion, the refs, I thought, had a pretty quick whistle for both teams throughout the game. But, I mean, he's a freshman. He's pretty raw. But, I mean, especially in overtime, I think you saw flashes of kind of what you should get excited about with him moving forward. He's a big body. He's going to grow into it. But he's got the range to shoot a three, and he's a smart guy, I think, offensively with the ball in his hands. So I don't think Bourne had that great of a game. I thought Monday he played much better, but I think there's definitely some pieces there coming off the bench that you can get excited about scoring and giving us some solid minutes here moving forward.
Yeah, Bowen, at least he made his free throws, and I'm a great believer that it's when somebody starts making free throws, it's contagious. And I think the biggest contribution he made was when he went to the line, he started making them. And then all of a sudden, everybody else started making them because up until Bowen started taking free throws, I think we were 4 for 10. So
yeah, it was ugly.
It was good. What do you
getting back to Kyle Jorgensen, it's going to be one of those interesting years for him as a freshman. He's playing. I talked about this in other shows. 6'9", 225, but just turned 19 years old. He was going up against a real man today in that kid number 33, Oga, whatever. That kid's an Iowa transfer, and I think he's 23 years old. I think he's a fifth-year player. And you're looking at a 6'10", 6'11 guy weighing about 270 pounds. Yeah. And he tortured Kyle, to be honest with you. But Kyle hung in there. He got very frustrated, picked up a foul, went to the bench, but came in and played an unbelievable overtime and actually hit 2 big free throws, hit a big three, his first three as a Ram. So, Jake, by the way, look at this comment. 7 of CSU's 17 turnovers, I believe, or
points.
Is that points in
overtime? 7 of our 17.
Kyle, yeah.
I think he had the first
7.
Yeah, in overtime. Yeah. I was telling him at the beginning of the second half, you could tell that he just wasn't confident in his moves. And I think that'll come with, experience and putting on the college muscle, I guess you can say, of playing in the game a little bit more. But basically just getting a little bit more confident in his moves. You can tell he's a little timid going up against someone 6 inches taller than he was.
Yeah, I just think it's a matter of age and it's a matter of time, and I think we'll see him get better and better, but I think we'll see him have those moments like he had tonight where he struggled as well, and that's fine. Nico, I think expects that to happen. That's part of the development and the growth. The other one, here's a comment from Corey. The backup guards are a liability on defense, have firepower, but yikes on defense. They're struggling to find that right mix of starter and bench. The starting 5 gives up a little bit of offense. Kyan Evans still has his moments where he's good, but struggles. He was 2 for 8 tonight, 0 for 3 on his threes. That's not going to cut it. He had 4 turnovers, several crucial ones down the stretch. And then Ethan Morton took 2 shots. You got a starter who scored 2 points who only took 2 shots. 3 assists, 1 rebound. If he's not filling up the stat sheet with rebounds, blocks, steals, and that stuff, he's got to score. And I think that's the point Corey's making is true. But what
do you think of Memba not getting in the rotation tonight, and then in overtime, Evans didn't really play until the last 20 seconds?
Yeah. I think Kyan was out of the game because they wanted Bowen for his free throw shooting and the turnovers. They were frustrated by the turnovers. They had to be. There were some really bad ones. In terms of Mbemba, he's been nursing a bad groin, and his minutes have been going up. He hurt it. He re-injured it. You could see it in the first half. Yeah. That's why he sat in the second half, and that definitely hurt CSU. I'm a great believer. I've said it before. If this team is really going to take off, I think they need to get 20 minutes out of Mbemba. I don't think you can have Crocker Johnson playing the 5 as much as he's playing it. A lot of that creates the foul trouble. He's a really, really good 4 in this offense, and he can play a little bit of 5. But when you have to play him 20 minutes at the 5, I think that's a liability.
And then through 2 games, Crocker Johnson has both games in at least the regular season had 2 fouls real quick and came out within the first 5-7 minutes. So
yeah, he's got to learn. It's tough. He's got to learn to play, but he's playing against some bigger guys and some tougher guys, and it's a defense where he's going to be asked to guard guys in the post man to man. I'm not sure if he's used to that, but here we go.
I think he's a young kid. I mean, going to Corey's comment with the guards too. Keyshawn Williams is coming off an ACL injury. I think he's still trying to get up to speed a little bit. You can see it offensively, defensively. It's not there yet. Bourne, I think you've seen the good and the bad with him. I mean, if he had 7 assists in the first game, I thought he played much better defensively Monday night. Tonight was definitely a little rough. I think just overall, it was a sloppy game, but I mean, you got to grind those ones out sometimes. And going to Morton, I know he was the transfer from Purdue. I don't think he was brought here for his offensive prowess. He was a kid that came in, he was known for his defense and kind of that gritty guard play. And I think you've seen that through 2 games, but you're going to need more out of him moving forward offensively, like you said, if this team's going to do anything, especially if he's a starter. So I don't think you can rely on Crawford, Johnson, and Neek to, put up 20, 25 a night and try to get wins out that way.
So Corey's a big Ethan Morton fan. I know that. And I'm a big Ethan
Morton fan. He's a good kid. I mean, he's
45-9 in games he has started. Ha ha. This team, if they're going to achieve the goals that we all want them to achieve, we're going to have to get a little more offense out of Ethan Morton.
Right. Yeah.
Taking 2 shots.
I totally agree. I think you need more offense out of him, which hopefully can come. But no, I mean, you see it. Like, he brings energy. He's a great defender. He crashes the boards. Like, he does the little things well that I don't think come up in the box score necessarily. But the offensive production through 3 games, I don't think has been there yet. But hopefully it can come. Like, he's a gritty player, and you got to like him. Like, I don't think we've had a really lockdown defender in the last couple of years, so it's exciting to watch him.
The other thing, I think he was the one that made he made a big defensive play that forced the Tennessee at the top of the key, and the Tennessee State player lost the ball out of bounds. They were both scrambling on the floor. Had to go to the review, to the video review. But Morton made that play there, and he is capable of making those kind of plays. But I honestly think we've got to see a little more on the offensive side. We got here we go from Mile High Minute. Would have liked to see the Rams pull away some, but it's still early, and a win's a win. That's true. Go Rams! Just subscribe. Mile High Minute. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got to bring us back on. We're getting you new subscribers left and right here.
But they did pull away. They pulled away to start the second half. They got up 11 and they were cruising, and then all of a sudden they just started throwing them. Giving a couple of bad possessions, and next thing you know, they're letting easy layups. The thing that was driving me crazy was it wasn't just the rebounding on Tennessee State's side. It was when they got the ball down low, we didn't get our money's worth on our fouls. They must have had at least 5 and 1s. I don't know why, but we try and wall up, and we still foul. If you're going to foul somebody, you better keep them from making the bucket and make them shoot free throws. So that had me just throwing my hands up. I want harder fouls. If you're going to foul hard. It's as simple as that.
I
you
agree
can't let teams shoot layups that uncontested.
You can't have them hit them.
I do think. I mean, different refs every game, but there was a pretty quick whistle tonight. I mean, did you notice, by the way, the technical foul that they called on the Tennessee State
coach? Great. Oh yeah.
He got called for he was yelling at his own player.
Yeah,
he wasn't yelling at the ref. He wasn't screaming about a no call. He's yelling at his player for screwing around with the ball. I was just going to check. I wanted to check something here. Points in the paint. CSU rarely gets outscored in the paint. Look at the points in the paint, 32-26 for Tennessee State. That shows you that was Eustachy ball at its best. And that was a good test for CSU as a result.
I think a big part of those points in the paint too, or like you said, the early foul trouble from Crocker Johnson, the injury with Mbemba. I mean, even Jorgensen had 4 fouls that he finished the game with. I think that's a big part of it. And again, he's going up against a bigger body, an older, experienced guy. I think he's going to learn from all that. He's still a raw talent. Like, you see the potential offensively from him with his moves. And I think defensively, he's going to grow into the frame and only get stronger and I think better down low with his positioning and all of that. So I think it was definitely a good test down low for some of those guys and meaningful minutes I'm a big Jorgensen guy. I think it's meaningful minutes for him down low to a good learning experience for him for sure in this game.
Meaningful minutes in the clutch too at the end of the game when you're the only big that can play in overtime. He got a chance to show what he can do, and I think that was a real growth experience for him. Corey has Jacob first. Usage rate for Ethan in 35 minutes, 7%, virtually non-existent on the offensive end. But then Corey with an observation, Morton limping around on the knee, wrap or brace, whatever that thing was, he was playing at 80% speed. Yeah. So,
sorry, Steve, I don't mean to cut you off. I think that kind of goes back to like what Ethan did at Purdue and what he was brought in here to do is for his defense. And it wasn't for his offense. We didn't bring him here for that. But if you can develop that side of him or get some points out of him, I think it's going to go a long way with the starting 5.
Yeah. So here we go. Jake with huge tactical error, not to go right at Jorgensen every possession in overtime. I would say the bigger tactical error was not fouling at the end up 3, especially against a bad free throw shooting team. I know Nico doesn't like to foul at the end of games. That team was shooting 40% from the free throw line, or less than 50%. Foul the big guy. All you got to do is foul the fat guy. What's he going to do? Try and make 2 free throws, and you take him away from an offensive rebounding position.
And that's
foul the fat guy.
That's a pretty tough shot that Tennessee State made at the end of the game, though. I mean,
but
double clutch from the top of the key. I mean, I agree with you. Like, you can play to the numbers and foul and whatever, but
foul the fat guy, and he's not in a position to get an offensive rebound. He's at the free throw line. He can't get in there. So.
I agree. I think to Jacob's point a little bit too, I thought in overtime and kind of late in the game, they did go at Jorgensen a little bit, and I thought he did a good job of not fouling. I thought he did a good job of keeping his feet and going straight up to where he didn't draw that extra foul. They should have gone at him more for sure, but the times they did, I thought he played pretty smart basketball down low, and we gave up a couple easy layups from them going at him, and I thought he played pretty well in that moment.
Corey wants to know how many fast break points we had. We actually had 17 fast break points according to the stats versus their 5, and 3 of their 5 came after a make by us. I don't know if you remember. I think that was a neat dunk, and they immediately countered 3 seconds later with a 3-ball in transition after a make. That was disappointing. That was something that I just looked at. I guarantee you, Nico was not happy with that and just wondering, what are you guys doing on that? That's just something you can't do. Mile High Minute. This is a good point. Felt like Tennessee State kept making tough shots. They made, obviously that 3 at the buzzer to send the game into overtime was a brutal make. There was earlier, I think it was earlier in regulation. It might have been in overtime. That little point guard, that number 0, hit about a 15-foot runner that must have gone about 20 feet up in the air, and I have no idea how.
I thought they did a good job. I thought of weathering the storms and the runs that we went on. They came into for the most part, a pretty hostile environment outside of the Power 5 schools. And I mean, they made shots when they needed to, especially in that overtime. It felt like every basket we made, they had an answer for late in the game. And they, I thought, played really smart and really effective basketball on the offensive end.
Yeah, that number 55, that kid, that blonde kid that kept on making corner threes, kept them in the game, hit some really key shots. They kept on running stuff, and they'd find him open after, the ball would go inside, couple passes, he'd be wide open in the corner. And I think we defended that guy pretty well, but you lost him just enough to shoot 3 for 4 from 3 and keep him in the game. So little things like that. All in all, though, I think getting a win is sure better than getting a loss. And I can guarantee you this staff is ecstatic about the learning that's going to come out of this that particular game. Here we go. What did you think of our on-ball defense? I thought our on-ball defense was actually decent. I thought our help defense was poor. And I thought, especially when you saw guys go into the paint and stop, and we'd let the guy, we'd be defending the guy well, we'd stop him in the paint, and then all you had to do was swarm. If you swarm a little bit, there's nothing to be had. And instead, we don't swarm. We kind of go halfway, lose. We did that against Adams State. We played the same way against Adams State.
Yeah.
So I don't think the on-ball defense was that bad. That number 0, I think, is going to cause a lot of teams problems. He was pretty crafty, pretty quick, and they did a great job. They held him to 4 for 14 shooting. So I'm gonna give an overall grade of kind of a B+ for the on-ball defense, but the rebounding was not good.
Yeah,
so,
I thought the on-ball defense was pretty good. I thought when they drove and we collapsed, they were able to kick it out, and that's where they hit their shots. It was, that's credit to them for those. So
Clifford's help defense doesn't exist. Sometimes I think he reaches and slaps a little too much. I will agree with that, but I think he's a great defender and one of our better defenders. So I'm not gonna, he can get better. And I'm not going to criticize him for much of what he did today with a double-double again. And I had somebody send me a text during the game. Imagine what would happen if Clifford got injured, and I just fired back.
I don't want to think about that.
No. I just fired back. It's not. They'd have to figure out something else. That's all I can say. So who was? So I'll let you guys. I always let my guests choose player of the game. Who is your player of the game?
Oh, Paul, I'll let you go first on that one.
I think it's the easy answer is Neek, but I'll go with Lake because that's the best shooting night I've seen him go in a couple years. So that will be my vote.
So Paul's player of the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. Just to be different from him, I'll go with Jorgensen. Just for what he did down the stretch and in overtime there to kind of get us going and to start that with our first 7 points. Not fouling out, I thought was huge when Crocker Johnson went out. So Lake would probably be my 1A, and then I'd give it to Jorgensen for what he did kind of in overtime and down the stretch in that second half.
The last post game I did was with a good friend Aaron Harris, and Aaron gave Kyle Jorgensen the player of the game, and he said, I would give it to Neek, but I have a feeling we're probably going to give player of the game to Neek every game this year.
It's a safe pick. Yeah.
And it's kind of the same tonight. I don't know how you can say Neek wasn't the absolute dominant player on the court, but I'm cool with Jalen. Jalen came out firing, hit his first 2 twos, actually hit his first 2 threes, hit his first 3, but they called an offensive foul on Crocker Johnson on the third one. And so I'm gonna go with I usually go. Let's see. Anybody else have comments for player of the game? Anybody else want to dispute Jalen Lake?
I think if Rachel's watching, she might have a player of the game. She was pretty into the game. I don't know if she'll comment, but we'll see.
Corey, this is a great comment, okay? Because this is a new team, and there's some youth on this team, mixing and matching players coming from different backgrounds. The ability to just grind out the game was critical for the development of this team. That is the absolute best conclusion of tonight's game. It's all developmental right now, and you want to win. I don't know if you remember, we had games last year with a great team that got off to a great start, but the very first game of the year, we were down, I think, a dozen points with about 10 minutes to go to Louisiana Tech and had to come back and grind it out, and that was a great game. And then we had a game against DU, who's our opponent on Tuesday night, where we trailed for a good portion of that game before we put it away in the last 8 minutes or so. So even teams that are really flying, they will struggle. And as Corey said, the ability to grind out the game was very, very good for the development. I always, they're going to learn. They're going to learn a lot from watching the tape. They're going to, I'm sure, practice a lot to get ready for the DU game. But it's always better and easier to practice coming off a win than it is a
I mean, I 100% agree with you. Like, you're going to learn more from a game like this than you do if you blow them out by 20 or 30. Like, the tape that you can watch and learn from is just going to be essential moving forward.
But I mean, you got a lot of veteran guards on this team, and you have 2 young guys down low in Crocker Johnson and Jorgensen. Like, this is going to, I think, go a very long way in their development. It's going to teach them a lot, especially if you're going to hang on to Crocker Johnson.
Yeah. So my unsung hero, I think this is a no-brainer, Kyle Jorgensen.
There it is. We're in agreement, Steve. Nailed it.
I think he was, like you said, scored 7 in overtime. The best part was he was really down on himself after one play where he had to come to the bench where he gave up an and one, and he had his head down, and they talked to him on the bench. And it's a lot for a freshman to recover from that. I mean, he puts a lot of pressure. All these kids put a lot of pressure on themselves. They don't want to let their teammates down, and for him to learn the next play mentality this early in his career, he's 2 games into his Division I career. Yeah, for him to learn that next play mentality is critical. What do you guys think of Kyle?
I'm really high on Kyle. I think he's going to be he's going to be a great player for us in the future. I mean, he's got great court vision. You can kind of see with some of those passes. He had that one bad turnover, I think, in overtime where he tried to force it to Neek down low in the cut. But he's got the raw talent. It's there. He's got the size. And I mean, we have 2 athletic big men that I don't think we've had in a long time in this program. And I think that's really exciting. I think with the development that he has, if he stays here, you've got a really good center on your hands for the next 4 or 5 years.
So Jake pointed out some of the other games. I don't know if you guys were following the CU game, double overtime over Northern Colorado. UNC hit a 3 at the buzzer to put the game into overtime. I'm sure people are all over Boyle about not fouling. And then UNC had the lead in I believe the first overtime, and CU came back and then won it by, I think, 2 in double overtime. Ole Miss, who we play a week from tomorrow in Mississippi, in a neutral that's in Mississippi just south of Memphis. Won by 2 against Grambling State. So, and I can probably, I'll bet you Tennessee State's a higher ranked team in the computer rankings than Grambling is. So
I'm no betting man, Steve, but take us against Ole Miss. I'm not a betting man, but take us against Ole Miss.
I will see. I want Mbemba healthy. That's all I can say.
Mbemba?
I might take.
We might struggle. I really, really like him, and if we can get him healthy, I think that makes us adds another dimension in terms of physicality. The offense will run better with big screens. Corey pointed out something crazy stat. Ethan Morton, a high school teammate, plays for DU. I didn't know that. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Hopefully, Ethan will deliver a hard foul on him.
Anyway. He had a career high in points that game too against them.
I know we didn't play a clean game, but what I saw from Tennessee State tonight, I might take him against Wyoming on Sunday.
I don't know. Wyoming is a good rebounding team. That's going to be what's interesting. And I don't think Wyoming is necessarily a great shooting team, but Wyoming plays a lot of big guys and they can push around. And they got a kid they got a 6'10", 260-pound kid that can play with the big guy from Tennessee State. So it's going to be I actually think Wyoming will do pretty well against.
Are you taking Wyoming in that game, Steve?
What's that?
Are you taking Wyoming in that game?
I think they'll end up being favored. I'll take them.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
But the one thing I wanted to say, I think that was I honestly was impressed with Tennessee State. They came in and they played hard. I'm sure they played the way their coach wants to play, and it's really hard early in the year to play against a team that plays a pretty good zone defense. And I got to give Tennessee State credit. Their zone gave us all kinds of problems. They have enough good length on the wings and enough good size in the paint to take away any of the stuff going to the rim. and they made the 3-point shooting hard for anybody other than the bigger players like Clifford and Lake. So I give them all the credit in the world. I think that was a much better matchup than what the Vegas guys had, favoring us by 18 points or something like that.
20, 23. Yeah,
20, oh my God.
They made it a sloppy game, and all credit to them. They played hard tonight. Yeah.
So, hey, Corey thinks we could beat them by 20. I don't disagree with that, Corey. But I think we need 2 days, not tomorrow night. We need 2 days to work on our zone offense. Not just one day.
Schedule it. Let's get it going.
Yeah, the thing is, you only play them once. The only people you play twice are in conference. So let's get ready to wrap up. Any last thoughts, guys?
I think we got some good, exciting pieces on offense. It's a team that you can still see is gelling. I think rebounding is going to need to be a big thing moving forward, but I think you've seen the Jekyll and Hyde of this team through 2 games so far between Monday and today.
Paul, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm excited about this team. Like Jack said, we have pieces, just need them to play a couple more games, and excited to see, fast forward a couple weeks and kind of see how they improve and play as a team. But we have the pieces there, and you've seen on Monday we can play above the rim. We didn't necessarily do that tonight, but we can be exciting and excited for the next couple weeks. So
yeah, I want to share one thing. I told somebody this after the last game. I said, we played really good against in the opening game against North Dakota.
Yeah.
And I said, I remember talking to a wise old man once who said, early in the year, when teams are starting to find themselves, you see good game, bad game, good game, bad game. And I said, expect a bad game. I've heard that so many times. And so we can call it a bad game. It was a good learning experience that they can get better, but obviously it wasn't. I don't think it was the Rams at their best, but they were good enough to come out with a win. Corey, where the heck are you? Heard on the broadcast it's snowing, nearly 80. Where are you, Corey? Let us know. I have no idea where you are. Are you are you in Florida? Are you on the East Coast? Where the heck are you? Because yes, I was supposed to be flying to Philadelphia tonight, and my flight was canceled at 9:30 this morning. That's how bad the weather is. So where are you, man? Oh, he's not going to tell me. He's going to stay hidden. Anyway, there we go. You're a Butler guy. You're a Butler guy. Okay, well,
Bulldogs.
No, that's Indiana. This is Pennsylvania.
Oh wow, close enough.
Corey, I don't know if you know this, if you've listened enough. Pennsylvania is my home state. I was born in the burbs of Philadelphia and spent the first 10 years of my life. I'm a diehard Villanova fan. First game I ever saw was in the Palestra. My football team, other than Colorado State, was always Penn State growing up, and I'm sure you're a Penn State fan. So anyway, nice to have you from Butler, Pennsylvania. Corey, thanks for participating.
Yes,
everybody else, too. Jack and Paul, thanks for participating. All the people in chat, thank you very, very much. Taylor, Corey, Jake. We have the Mile High Minute, a brand new subscriber. Thank you all.
You got new subscribers, Steve.
I'm going to be heading to flying to Philadelphia tomorrow morning. I'm getting on a plane. I'm actually getting up in about 3 hours to get to the airport. We have an early flight. We'll be spending the weekend there, coming back on Monday, and you will not see me on my Monday morning cup of coffee stream until the following week. We won't be on this Monday. I will be back Tuesday for the post game with DU for the final score show with another guest. And I'll have to figure out, maybe I'll have Corey from Watching on TV. I'd love to have Corey on. That might be fun. Corey, I might be contacting you because he's been a good contributor. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Jack and Paul, thanks for participating. It's been fun.
If you need a guest, Steve, we're always here. 2 thoughts, Corey. My sister-in-law went to Penn State, so always have a soft spot for them. And Steve, you'll never walk alone. So. Paul was raised right.
I was.
Yeah,
Paul spent a lot of time with me. I need to come before we go. I need to come clean. Paul, I met Paul when he was 3 years old. He was my son's best friend at daycare, and they were the bestest of buddies. They played a lot of youth soccer together, and I'll never forget, one of my favorite moments was I was actually coaching one of the games. I was usually an assistant, but sometimes I got to take over the thing. And we had a game late in the season, and I wanted to get my son Peter and I wanted to get Paul off the field and get some other guys on to try and score some goals. And I called out, Peter, Paul, and somebody else from the sideline goes, Mary. That was like that was Peter and Paul. You know, they were inseparable back in the day, and they're still good friends. So
Steve,
anyway, it's a pleasure having Paul. He's like a second son to me. So Jack, it's nice to meet you. Thanks again. Let's get out of here. Have a good evening, everybody. We'll see you Tuesday.
Go Rams, baby.
Yeah.